Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, 3 missed opportunities when starting a business.
Big Success with the professor and Mary-Lynn.
So, Mary-Lynn, I find this fascinating. In 2021, so here we are sitting in the early part of 2022.
Right.
But in 2021, the search phrase, how to start a business, had more hits, or more people typed in that as a search term, than how to get a job.
Wow.
That's pretty astounding.
That is. And that was brought to our attention by a tweet from Shopify president Harley Finkelstein, who said, because of these search results, he said, boy, this isn't just the year of the entrepreneur. This is the start of a new era where being an entrepreneur is people's first choice for a career.
Yeah,
Isn't that exciting?
It is exciting. And, we've preached this for years that, even if you have a job, it pays to have a business on the side. But with the idea in most cases of working towards something bigger, more, that's going to be your own business that you control. That's the key here, isn't it? Don't we love to have control?
Exactly. And in like I said, even in your own career, thinking like an entrepreneur and the moves that you make, setting yourself up to be able to maybe do contract work on the side so you don't rely on one person. Just all of those kinds of things. Thinking like an entrepreneur is really key.
Absolutely right. And so, hey, I'm George Kruger, a.k.a. The Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. And as big supporters, and that's big with 2 G's, of entrepreneurship, there are things that we see new entrepreneurs often get wrong. And so today, since there is this new push toward entrepreneurship, we want to share the advice that we give our clients to help them avoid those pitfalls. So let's pull out the professor's whiteboard for 3 missed opportunities when starting a business.
I think I missed the opportunity to prevent an avalanche, Mary-Lynn.
Yeah, it's always a trick pulling that whiteboard out.
Never know what's going to come flying out at you.
I always pad up before I open the door.
The whiteboard's always clear in the back corner.
Yeah. Okay, so the 3 missed opportunities when starting a business. Number 1 is missed resources.
One example of this is paying for free space. Nobody wants to pay for free space, do they?
Paying for free space?
That's kind of how we term it. Well, the point is, there are certain things that we're already spending money on, and those are kind of sunk costs, right? So these are our expenses, let's just say. One of those being space we live in, the garage attached to it, the basement in the house, whatever. The point is, those are things that a lot of entrepreneurs, almost probably most, if not almost all entrepreneurs, have started from a room in their apartment or their basement or their garage, something like that.
Right. You think of Henry Ford, Steve Jobs.
Yeah. And the only thing I would advise our listeners to do is just don't do what Henry Ford did. When Henry Ford got started, he was building his first automobile. He built it in his barn. The only problem was he forgot to figure out how to get it out. So he had a car in a barn, and he wanted to take it for a drive, and he couldn't get out because none of the doors were big enough. So he had to take down the side of the barn. Don't do that.
Right.
Okay? Plan for the exit.
That's a very good point. That's like a bonus tip right there.
Yes, but the thing is to use the assets that you already have available, and that's the key. One of the key questions we encourage our clients to think about. Our coaching clients, we talk about, what can you do with the resources you already have or the ones you can procure very easily?
Right.
Right.
Can you test your market before you invest in more overhead?
Yeah, and the whole secret to all of these missed opportunities really comes down to risk. These are all risk management tools, if you really look at it. So keep that in mind as we continue on with the rest of the missed opportunities.
All right, so 3 missed opportunities when starting a business. Number 2 is missed cash flows. Wait a minute, there's cash flowing around here that I seem to be grabbing it up out of the sky, or
kind of is.
Okay.
If you think about it, I like to think of this as killing the golden goose. Kind of like our last point, we were saying, we're already spending money on the house or the apartment or whatever. If I can use a tiny portion of it, that's free money, right? Well, in this case, owning or having a job while you're starting your business, going through the process, researching your market, all the stuff that has to come with starting a business. If you can keep your full-time job through all of that, that's money flowing into you, flowing into your household. And it's money that, you know, if you don't spend it, you can save it and use that for startup money for your business. Yeah. So it's really important to understand that.
Right. So you may have that. I didn't mean to interrupt, but a lot of people will have that itch to quit their jobs. I mean, we've been going through what do they call that? The
Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation. And so, how do you hang on when you really, really want to just call it quits?
It's not easy, but when you understand why you're doing it and how it's helping you actually get to the goals that you want to achieve faster, then hopefully that's going to be motivation to go ahead and keep that full-time job for now.
And as we've said in the past, it's a means to an end. You start looking at the job not as, this is what I'm trapped in and I just can't wait to get out of it. You start seeing it as, well, this is funding my business. Mm-hmm. And that's a different way of looking at your job.
It is. And actually, that's a great point, Mary-Lynn. And the other thing to think about is in finance, we think about portfolios. Well, the thing is, when I just have one source of income, I don't have a portfolio. If I add a business and a second source of income, now I'm starting to work on a portfolio. Another thing to do, though, is, you know, if you're married, maybe we can get to the point where we can live on one spouse's income. And then we have the other. We don't have any expenses that are basically being drawn out of the business. The business is free to basically just develop its own money. If you can do that means you can step in faster. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have two jobs, but it does kind of mean you got to find a way of having two jobs within the family.
And at some point, obviously, if you want the business to grow, you have to cut that lifeline. You know,
Yes.
We've heard a lot of successful entrepreneurs say that, you know, it's tempting to stay in the full-time job, but you can't really grow in the business when you're doing that. But how do you know how to time that? Is it really just start getting some cash flow in the business and then you say, okay, looks like things are good. I can go ahead and cut off the other source of income.
Well, without question, you need a business that is stable, which means a business that is supplying all the expenses. In an ideal world, you've completely replaced your salary with your business. Now it's kind of a no-brainer, right? I mean, you know, I can afford to because I can now pay all my bills from the business. Okay? The only thing you want to look at is how secure are we? Are we in a huge upswing? You know, are we at the part of the business cycle where everything's great? Or are things kind of tough? Well, if you're doing well when things are tough, that's a pretty good sign.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of tough. Sometimes you don't know how the market's going to go within just a few months here and there.
Right.
What about other people who, though, maybe but they were able to get a small business loan, and so now they've got this small business loan and feel more of a push to go ahead and quit the job and be full all in on the business?
Well, I think, Mary-Lynn, that's a great question. I think that it's kind of hard to answer in general terms. So it's going to depend on a whole lot of things that you'd want to discuss with a coach, a financial advisor, your accountant, an attorney, somebody to really kind of help you figure out, is it the right time to make the jump? But if you're getting a loan, you know, like my first real at-risk business, I got a loan from a bank. I brought some money in from outsiders, and that was my capital, and I needed to be full-time at that point. So you're absolutely right. When you start bringing in outside funders, expectations are going to increase, and your need to be involved is going to increase.
Okay. All great things to keep in mind. You know, speaking of timing, maybe you don't know whether you are ready to quit your job to start a business or not. And we did a podcast episode, 10 Signs You're Ready to Quit Your Job and Start a Business. And you'll find a link to that in the show notes for today's episode. So we're talking about 3 missed opportunities when starting a business. And the third missed opportunity is missed information.
I like to think of this, Mary-Lynn, as delaying intelligence operations. So, you know.
It sounds so official.
Well, we're thinking about 007 here, right? So, you know, your spy operations. We've talked about kind of slowing things down. Now we're going to talk about speeding things up. Okay. We want to be quick to getting to potential people who might help us, who might refer people to us, who might buy from us, and that kind of thing. And so the challenge here is always just find 10 people, just 10 people that you can talk to about your business idea. And everybody's like, oh, they'll steal my business idea. No, that doesn't really happen very often, because the thing is, and by the way, the idea, no matter how good your idea is, chances are it's not the idea. It's going to be all the work you put into bringing that opportunity to market, finding customers, controlling your finances, etc. All of that is what makes a business, not just the idea. The idea is just a tiny little bit of it. The big part is, and that's big with 2 G's, got to get that in there.
Yeah.
The big part is everything else, all the things that go into developing a successful business. So what we encourage you to do is reach out to 10 people, tell them about your business idea. See what they think. If it's something that they might buy, what do they think of it? Would they consider buying it? How much would they pay for it? That kind of stuff. Or maybe it's not for them. Maybe it's not for them, but you still can reach out to them because there's someone who knows a lot of people, and maybe a lot of people, particularly who might be interested in what you're offering as a product or a service. So just get in front of people and start sharing your business idea. And what you're going to do as you do this is you're going to start learning a whole lot about the competitive landscape.
Yeah, and you can do this at any point in time.
Yeah, the key mistake, though, that I think people make is they delay this. They put this off. This should be like as early as possible. Start getting out there. I mean, you don't want to do it when all you've got is an idea. You want to have thought through it and have a concept. Make sure that it is a good opportunity, that there is there's a business here, there's a market here, and it serves a group of people here. You want to go through all of that, but man, as soon as you've kind of got even a fuzzy concept, get out there and start talking to people.
All right. So let's review. Today we shared 3 missed opportunities when starting a business. And this is advice that we give our own clients here at Big Success. And so number 1 is missed resources. Don't pay for free space. Number 2, missed cash flows. Don't kill the golden goose. Keep that income from your job flowing until you don't need it anymore. And then number 3, missed information. Start gathering intel as soon as possible when you have a business idea.
As the late, great H. Jackson Brown, not Jackson Brown, the one that we know, Mary-Lynn.
Not the singer.
This is a different space, right?
It says H. Jackson Brown.
That's right. So he said, nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity.
Wow.
They may seem like little things, but they lead to big success.
Don't miss the opportunity to discover your purpose. Take our free life purpose quiz at Big Success. That's big with 2 G's, success.com.
And we thank you for listening today. A special shout out to our listeners in Eugene, Oregon.
And join us next time. We're going to explore the true measures of big success. Until then, here's to your big success.
Find Big Success at biggsuccess.com.